Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. We got some breaking news for you. Trump has released a new video where he talks about there's a law that is going to allow him to cut federal spending and give it back to Americans in the form of stimulus, tax cuts, and so much more. This is amazing, amazing news. Donald Trump, our president-elect, is not playing around. He says that in almost every single department, he's going to ask them that they need to cut a huge chunk out of their budget so that he can give it back to the Treasury, and then the Treasury can give it back to the American people in the form of stimulus. I'm so excited for everybody across the United States. The government has been spending our money like nobody's business, but now we actually have a president who says he's going to give it back. I love it. Reduce government waste, put the hardworking American dollars back in our pockets. Also, according to Decision Desk HQ, the House has gained one more seat, putting us within 3 seats of the majority. Also, we have Rasmussen, who is one of the leading pollsters, who has called on President Trump to launch a full investigation into the election ballots in the swing states. He shows us evidence that there was widespread fraud committed in the Democrats' favor and that the numbers don't add up. This is breaking news, but this is literally grabbing Trump's attention. A lot is happening also on the foreign policy front as well, with Israel, Iran, Russia, Ukraine, and even China, who are all trying to get on Trump's good side. Mexico is literally now helping. After almost 4 years of just letting people through, they're now working to deter immigrants from coming through the U.S. southern border. But we got so much exciting news for you today. You're only going to see this on this channel, because I'm telling you, mainstream media is not going to show you what I'm about to show you. And just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And please also hit the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. Thank you to all of our members of the channel. And remember, the link is in the description to join. I will keep you up to date with all the top news every single day. And also thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are so grateful. Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, thank you so much for that super chat. Said, may we feed many through Thanksgiving to help Isaiah 117. Let's go. Y'all show Judy some love in the chat, everybody. But let's get right into it. This is straight from the words of our president-elect. Check it out.
For 200 years under our system of government, it was undisputed that the president had the constitutional power to stop unnecessary spending through what is known as impoundment. Very simply, this meant that if Congress provided more funding than was needed to run the government, the president could refuse to waste the extra funds and instead return the money to the general treasury and maybe even lower your taxes, although we did give you the biggest tax reduction in history and the biggest regulation reduction in history, two things I'm very proud of. And they still are there, although they're disappearing rapidly under Biden. Thomas Jefferson famously used this power, as did many other presidents, until it was wrongfully curtailed by the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. Not a very good act. This disaster of a law is clearly unconstitutional, a blatant violation of the separation of powers. When I return to the White House, I will do everything I can to challenge the Impoundment Control Act in court, and if necessary, get Congress to overturn it. We will overturn it. I will then use the president's long-recognized impoundment power to squeeze the bloated federal bureaucracy for massive savings.
Let's go.
This will be in the form of tax reductions for you. This will help quickly to stop inflation and slash the deficit. To prepare for this eventuality, on day one, I will order every federal agency to begin identifying large chunks of their budgets that can be saved through efficiencies and waste reduction using impoundment. Of course, this will not include national defense. Some of the funds we save through impoundment from other parts of the government can be used to strengthen Medicare and Social Security for years to come. Reasserting the president's historic impoundment authority will also restore critical negotiating leverage with Congress to keep spending under control. Very simple. We're going to keep spending under control. We had it done, and then COVID came in, and we had to do some things to help save our country. We did a great job, but we were starting to make lots of money. We were energy independent. We were going to be energy dominant. We were going to be taking in massive amounts of money from the liquid gold that we have under our feet more than any other nation. And we were going to reduce taxes and pay off debt. This is the only way we will ever return a balanced budget, impoundment.
I love it.
Just as importantly, bringing back impoundment will give us a crucial tool with which to obliterate the deep state, drain the swamp, and starve the warmongers, these people that want wars all over the place, killing, killing, killing. They love killing. And the globalists out of our government. We're going to get the warmongers and the globalists out of our government. With impoundment, we can simply choke off the money. This policy is anti-inflation, anti-swamp, anti-globalist, and it's pro-growth, pro-taxpayer, pro-American, and pro-freedom. I alone can get that done. I'll get it done, and I'll make America great again. Thank you very much.
Let's go. Guys, I've never heard of impoundment before, but I love it that Trump has come out. He says, look, this is what we can do. Let's cut off all these extra fat, extra spending. Let's give it back to the taxpayers. Give us back our hard-earned money and don't have these dang politicians just live off like kings on the taxpayers' dime. Let's go. Show some love for Trump with a like if you haven't liked the video already. Also, want to show you quick too, Trump is not wasting any time. He's already got the Republicans working on all this stuff in the Senate. Check this out.
All right, now to Congress, where control of the House is not yet decided, but Republicans are returning to power in the Senate. And one of their first priorities will be taking up tax policies outlined by President-elect Trump. Hillary Vaughn is live from Capitol Hill. Hillary, what is the latest over there?
Hi, Jackie. Well, Republicans are gearing up for what they're calling the Super Bowl of tax policy. They're preparing to make Trump's 2017 tax cuts that expire at the end of next year permanent, but they're also tasked with putting in motion Trump's other tax ideas, like no taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, though, warns that Trump's tax cut wish list could come with a hefty price tag, estimating it could add $7.5 trillion to the debt over a decade. But Congressman Byron Donald says their prediction doesn't take into account all the economic growth that they think will come from putting money back in people's pockets.
Yes, baby.
No, it doesn't
Money.
cost $7 trillion. And the reason why we know this is because under his first tax policy, which is current tax law today, the Democrats and all these outside groups said it would cost $5 trillion. The truth is the federal government raised more tax revenue than was ever modeled or contemplated by any of these organizations.
But there are already some differences emerging between what Republicans want. House Republicans want to move on an overall tax border and energy package within the first 100 days of the new Congress, but some Senate Republicans forecasting this could be a year-long effort. There's also a lot up in the air. House Republicans still several seats shy of gaining control of the House, and Senate Republicans do not have their majority leader picked yet. That contest between Senators John Thune, John Cornyn, and Senator Rick Scott.
I'm very optimistic. I believe I'm going to win. Thune and Cornyn are friends. Here's what I bring to the table. I clearly believe in the Trump agenda, number one.
Let's go.
I'm a business guy that has success doing exactly what we need to do in the Senate.
There's also likely to be disagreement among Republicans on the overall cost of these ideas. Some are not going to want to sign up for adding a ton to the deficit without a way to pay for it. One senator saying you can't hope that the growing debt problem goes away with, quote, pixie dust, so some hard calls may have to be made to get all Republicans on board. Jackie?
All right, we'll be watching it. Hillary Vaughn for us in Capitol Hill. Thanks, Hillary.
I'm telling you what, everybody, it's literally, we're seeing all of Trump's work come to life like never before. It is one thing to truly see that we actually have somebody who's going to go in there and make it happen and make the money, put it back into Americans' pockets big time. Peter Scroggins, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, and I'll say this, Peter, that Trump is going to make change, and I cannot wait. Especially one of my most favorite things is no tax on Social Security. Quit double taxing our hardworking American citizens. Because I'll tell you this, if this isn't more blatant, what you're seeing on the screen, that I love, it says, I love how the woman who raised $1 billion ended up in $20 million in debt and can't pay her staff. Yet she was going to fix the economy. It's a bunch of bull, you know what. Trump knows how to raise money the right way, knows how to spend it the right way, and knows how to actually run a business. Not these career politicians. But this is where it's going to be a huge change, again, too, for Americans, because we're actually going to see change because they're not stopping. They're not holding back. It is insane to see how fast they're moving across the board to get things done. It is beautiful. Check this out.
Okay, I'm very, very comfortable that we are going to have a rock-solid White House, unlike last time where we had a lot of traitors on the inside. Folks, there's more coming, too. The good news, this is probably the finest Monday show I've ever done. I'm bringing you so much good news. Enjoy every minute. Smile, man, like the Joker without the serial homicide. Smile, kids. Everything's coming together. Everything. Look at this one. Donald Trump, you did it again, Bongino Army. But let me tell you something. I want to give the Trump team credit because they listen. A lot of asshole politicians don't listen. The Trump team, they have their ear to the base like no one I've ever seen before. True Social post by real Donald Trump. I will not be inviting former Ambassador Nikki Haley or Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Will not be inviting. Does that say not? Oh, it does. I will not be inviting to join the Trump administration currently in formation. I enjoyed working with them. Like to thank them for their service. Make America great again. Listen, I'm going to just put this out there, and I hope you guys understand. This is not personal for me, okay? I'm not the guy who gets invited to cocktail parties. Ask me, where's Justin, you over there? Ask me how much time I spent at Mar-a-Lago this weekend. I spent zero. You will not see me in Politico Playbook. They have that spotted section. Spotted. You will not see that. I'm not saying I won't go to them. I'm just saying I did not spend time glad-handing this weekend, cutting deals. Can I get this? And I did not do that. Again, what is two thumbs in the cut deals? This guy. I'm not looking for shit. I'm looking for one thing. You know what I'm looking for? The same thing you're looking for. Protect Donald Trump at all costs.
Protect Donald Trump.
Protect him at all costs. We are going to protect Donald Trump. And people like Mike Pompeo, no good. And the hits just keep on coming. Donald Trump on True Social. He's now he goes after Gavin Newsom, which is a great idea because Donald Trump was closing the gap significantly in places like California, being ruined by liberal Democrats. The beautiful, unbelievably prosperous state of California. It is. Silicon Valley, you've got what is California, the third largest economy in the world? It is. Now, it's prosperous despite liberals destroying it. I wish these liberals would self-deport too. And there he is, if you go to the end of this, talking about how we're going to move towards national voter ID. Let me tell you something. If they can hear it, I will be demanding voter ID and proof of citizenship as a necessary part and component of the voting process. You implement voter ID, don't laugh. We got a chance in the next couple decades to actually flip New York, possibly California. Oh, look at this shocking map, courtesy of Newsmax. You all are going to be stunned. Meaning you're not going to be stunned. States Harris won versus the ID requirement. So if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, it's a simple map of the United States. And you'll notice that pretty much every single state, Kamala.
Crunk Juice, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, I know we won the White House, but I'm very skeptical about the Republican Party. Look at what's going on with the Senate. There's a lot of Republicans who are dangerous as the Democrats. I 100% agree. The rhinos. But that's why they're trying to fast track this. They're trying to get the right people in the right place. There is literally, I told somebody today, 3/4 probably, I would say half to 3/4 of the Republican Party are establishment. We need anti-establishment people in order to have a MAGA Trump presidency. Because think about it. Musk, anti-establishment. RFK, anti-establishment. Tulsi Gabbard, anti-establishment. J.D. Vance, anti-establishment. Trump, anti-establishment. That's what we need, but I think they know that. They're smart. They're making a lot of different changes than they did in 2016.
Harris won, almost, that there is no photo ID required. Is that weird? Is that a coincidence? Surely, he said, surely it's a coincidence. And if you've ever seen the movie Airplane, don't call me Shirley. Surely that's just one big coinky dink. Folks, if Donald Trump can get this stuff pushed through, I need a favor from you, though. I need a favor from you. We have what is going to be a probably historically slim House majority on the House side. The Senate, we've got a buffer. Murkowski and Collins are going to sabotage everything. It doesn't matter. We'll still, even with them, we'll still have actually 2 because we'll have 51. And even if we lose another, J.D. Vance will be the tiebreaker. I'm not too worried about the Senate side. You are going to have rhinos in the House that I promise you are going to try to sabotage us. The Bongino army in the next 2 years. We're not done. It's Monday. It's get back to work. Everybody's smiling today. Things are going great. We're happy warriors. Love it. But make no mistake, we got to get back to work now. Yes. Because these House members are going to need a push, especially on things like voter ID. Because what do you think? Folks in the chat, let's see the first one who gets it. Folks in the chat, what do you think is going to happen the first time a national voter ID for federal elections bill gets pushed out there? What are the Democrats going to say? You know it's going to happen. Jim Crow, 7.2. It's all Jim Crow. You're all racist. They don't want black people to vote. And what are we going to do? We're going to go back and go, really? So you're suggesting black men and women don't know how to get a driver's license? That sounds kind of racist-y to me. A little bit racist-y. Look at it. Look at the chat. You guys are unbelievable. You guys, man, you're so ahead of it. I love that I ask a question and everybody's like, bam, right away. We blow that chat right up. Yes, it's going to happen. So weak-kneed rhinos are going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be accused of being a fake racist. Instead of realizing nobody actually believes this. Donald Trump cleaned up with the black vote and the Hispanic vote. We need it. Voter ID, get it done. The first 2016 election, which was unexpected. Nobody expected him to win outside of the diehards like us. It was unexpected. There was staffing chaos. It wasn't his fault. He just wasn't a politician. This doesn't feel this way at all this time. It feels clean. It feels surgical. It feels like they know exactly what they're doing. It feels message-oriented, and it feels like we finally have an opportunity to get this thing done, whereas the deep state, there's this state of confusion, and they really, while the confusion is there, is when we got to move. Take advantage of the fog of war, and that's what's happening right now.
And I love it, everybody. Where we're at right now, Trump knows we got to get the right Senate leader. This is big. This is a post from 2020, from 2021. Remember, Trump said Trump slams McConnell, Cornyn, and Thune as weak and ineffective rhinos ahead of Electoral College certification. So this is the thing. He already knows that Scott's the right guy to go with. Again, too, we have to make sure that it's not because again, too, a lot of Thune and Rick Scott are the top guys right now. Of everything that I've been researching, they're the ones that are looking at getting the most votes. Now, Senator John Kennedy did come out and say, from Louisiana, said that, hey, all these things that you're seeing out there, don't believe them. We're going to put the person in the Senate majority leader seat that's going to get the Trump agenda done. But still, we just know there's a lot of rhinos out there. There's a couple things I wanted to show you real quick. People can't believe this crap, everybody. So Kamala Harris' campaign paid $10 million to Beyonce. All those endorsements, please show this to your friends that are Democrats. Those were not sincere, honest endorsements. $10 million to Beyonce, $5 million to Megan Thee Stallion, $2.3 million to Lizzo, $1.8 million to Eminem, and $1 million to Oprah. There was no true support. Go ask Elon Musk. Elon Musk gave to Trump, the super PAC. He didn't ask for the speaking fees. This just shows you all their support is fake. It's all 100% fake. Even, check this out. So Mark Cuban, remember how he came out and said that that Trump doesn't have any strong, intelligent women around him? So Mark Cuban has come out and addressed because this dude literally went in every single post that he had that said he supported Kamala Harris, he deleted off of X, formerly Twitter. You can't make this crap up. He addressed the allegations he scrubbed posts advocating for the FP's campaign after she lost the presidential election, saying, "I've always gone back and deleted tweets or posts." Guys, they're so freaking fake, guys. You can't make this up. But again, too, people see through it all like never before. Check this out.
Shattered Democrats are still picking up the pieces after the Tuesday night blowout, bitterly divided as they search for answers on why Kamala got smoked by Trump at the ballot box. The identity politics crew is having an identity crisis.
We didn't listen enough to people on the ground, people like Chris Deluzio, Pat Ryan, who were saying, talk about the economy, talk about people's economic struggles, convince people you have the better policies and better vision.
Bottom line, if you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think the overwhelming answer is no.
That's what I hate about the left.
You're brats. You're brats and you're snobs, and people don't like that.
Because of dinner table issues. It's literally that simple. Every day, people wake up and all they want to do is have more money in their pocket and they want to feel safe.
Yes.
But some liberals haven't learned a thing, and doubling down on the woke insanity that cost Kamala the election.
A lot of families out there who don't believe boys should play girls' sports.
They're not boys. I'm not going to listen to transphobia at this table. I am not going to listen to you call a trans girl a boy.
You allow me to finish my explanation.
When you use a word that's a slur, I'm going to interrupt.
There's this sense, right, that whiteness, right, is under threat. The demographic shifts. The country isn't what all of these racially ambiguous children on Cheerios commercials are confusing the hell out of me.
Meanwhile, some serious questions are being raised on how the Harris campaign plowed through $1 billion and is now $20 million in the hole. Where'd all that dough go? Well, she cut $1 million check to Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Productions. They spent 6 figures to reportedly build the fake set for her interview on the Call Her Daddy podcast, even though Joe Rogan was free. And millions more to social media influencers. But in the end, all the Oprahs and Lady Gagas couldn't get Harris across the finish line. Here's a former Kamala surrogate letting it rip on the money mismanagement.
This is just an epic disaster, and I raised millions of that. I have friends that I have to be accountable to and to explain what happened because I told them it was a margin of error race. I was promised, Jen O'Malley Dillon promised all of us that Harris would win. She even put videos out saying that Harris would win. I believed her. My donors believed her. And so they wrote massive checks. I feel like a lot of us were misled.
Right. Money that's missing. It's not a little amount of money. If you were a donor, you'd probably be asking questions too.
Well, there's the big donors that gave a ton of money, but the amount of small dollar donations that they were asking for before the switcheroo, when like George Clooney knew that Joe Biden wasn't in any condition to do another 4 years, they were telling everybody that he could and saying, hardworking people, please send us $150, $50, $20. Cat lovers for Biden. And then you get to somebody like Oprah, but I think this is astounding. So Oprah, for the first time in her life, decided to endorse a candidate, decided to go to a convention, decided to give that big speech, and then you find out that this billionaire made them pay $1 million. So you have all of these small donors who are building a set for Oprah for an interview that didn't get them anywhere down the field. It's absolutely appalling. And I do think that the Democrats, having looked at it over the weekend, I was getting sick of it. They're just overthinking it and underthinking it, and they're overlooking the obvious. 20 years of bad policy positions in the Democratic Party led to this moment where they said that they were going to go middle of the road. That's what Joe Biden said. It's not what they did. And Ron Klain gave them progressives everything that they wanted, the Inflation Reduction Act. You had Larry Summers saying, guys, that's going to cause inflation. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, economists from the left. You have no idea. That's who that was. It wasn't like Larry Kudlow saying it, although he was saying it too. So then they get what they were asking for, and then they want to blame the podcasts. It is really incredible. And I'm here to watch all of it, of course. It's fine for me to sit there and do that. But I would end on this. 60 Minutes had this interview last night with Scott Pelley asking people who had voted Democrat for many, many years, who then switched and voted for Trump this year. And one of them owned a diner. And the question was, what was happening for you? Because the economy, it was improving. Inflation is down, and that wasn't enough for you? And she's like, yeah, we didn't feel that at all. And to me, that's just why they're overthinking it. Like, this is what it was. And the voters were telling us this for 3 years.
And we need to do that too.
Judge Jeanine Pirro, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, when I heard Ro Khanna, I should say, and Bernie Sanders and Bill Maher and the whole lot of them about, you know, just saying we didn't listen to the people, we didn't, put enough stock into what the working people needed. Woke is broke and all that other stuff. Fareed Zakaria now saying it was chaos at the border, and Charlemagne the God. Why weren't they saying this stuff during the election? If they can figure it out 2 days later, why couldn't they have said it during the election? Everybody knows, you don't have to be a genius, that working people were hurting, that wages were not keeping up with inflation, that food was off the charts, that people were hurting, living paycheck to paycheck, the country's going in the wrong direction. And these fools actually say, when someone says we got to keep a boy out of girls' sports, and some guy has a breakdown that we just saw and says, no, that's a trans girl or whatever it is, that's not America. America does not buy that nonsense. It just doesn't. All right. The only one who made sense was Raging Cajun. And he's a little kooky, but he knew it all along. It was the preachy females. You're not paying enough focus to the men. He had it down pat. And this Lindy Lou, what's her name? Lindy Lee with the pink dress? Give me a break. I was told by Jen O'Malley Dillon that Kamala was going to win. Are you stupid? Do you go into a casino and say, I was told I was going to win here? How different is a campaign from a casino toss? I mean, really. And then she says she blames somebody else. And this whole thing about Oprah, a billionaire taking $1 million, Dana, I was furious. The people who wrote a $25 check for Call Your Daddy podcast to set up some kind of a stage. Donald Trump can get into a dump truck and not spend a dime and get more hits than they do. Yep. And finally, how genuine was the support of the celebrities who needed money in order to say something? Did they even vote? I'd be curious to know whether they even bothered to vote.
Well, I think
I'll tell you this, guys. Everything is changing right now like never before. Check this out. Michael Day, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, bro, I wanted the Hawaii incident investigated, and those people helped. They're forgotten. Exactly. I think they gave him like $350 checks or something like that. It was disgusting. But this is where you get the right administration. I believe Trump's going to do something about that. And also, Must Love Dogs, thank you so much for the super chat. Who said they should all pitch in on the island and go there, Epstein. And I'm telling you, I got something to show you in just a moment. And also, David M. American, thank you so much. First timer super chat. Let's go. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody. So this is breaking news. Just happened literally like 10 minutes ago. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will now have to appoint a new senator to represent Florida for Marco Rubio, with Marco Rubio expected to become the Secretary of State. That is huge, everybody. Like big time huge. Because again, too, got to have the right people in there. We'll see. And I feel like them picking Marco Rubio, it's a good deal. But also, too, this is for Must Love Dogs. Check this out, everybody. J.D. Vance literally said from his mouth, I can't wait to clean up D.C. by releasing the Epstein client list. This was fact-checked by the People's Voice community. I feel like we're going to figure out what happened to RFK. We're going to hear about the Epstein list, the P. Diddy list. We're going to hear about all the lists, everybody. And it's going to be transparency for the American people. Because what I'm about to show you next is one of the biggest. I mean, I'm telling you, like this type of stuff, we have evidence like never before. People are getting to see the truth. Check this out.
But if you just do some basic math,
and if you don't know who this is Rasmussen. He's a pollster, one of the most accurate pollsters out there for all the elections, and they gather so much data on the elections, ballot votes, and all that. Check this out.
7% of 435 is 30 seats. So why didn't the Republicans pick up something in the vicinity of 30 seats? I think that's a really valid question, because in 2016 and in 2020, the state polling was to the right, the state outcome was to the right of the national popular vote. But here, for the first time, the state outcomes were to the left of the national popular vote. And that is weird and different. And so I think that the question that Republican voters should be asking themselves for the next 4 years is how come Trump changed like 10 million people's minds, inspired new people to come out and vote for him that never have, inspired switch voters all across the country in almost every state. How come just in the battlegrounds, those particular states only moved to the right 1 or 2 points? I think that's a very valid question. My advice for the good of the country is for Donald Trump coming in. He's got a very strong agenda that he ran on that people want to see. That's why they voted for him. But listen, it's a problem for both sides. He needs to go on an election integrity jihad. Yes. And I don't know if that means appointing a czar. I don't know if that means somehow sanctioning states that have shown that they're unwilling to investigate these things. But the fact is that there is a ton of evidence courts could be looking at, and they haven't at all. And we're the only pollsters that follow this, because how can we be right? I'm surprised we were as right as we were in 2020 with all the magical unicorn Democrats that turned out. And nobody's talking about 2018. If you want to talk about surprise turnouts, because that was like a 60% increase in midterm cycle turnouts, and that did not have COVID. So how did that happen? And it's really wild.
Trump said on the Sunday, right before the election, that they're trying like hell to steal it, close quote. And he said we need to go back to paper ballots. Absolutely. We need Trump to not just deal with the border and World War III and the economy and energy and everything else. We need him up front to come in and have an election integrity commission that's got good people on it, and then reform our election system that is a mess.
100%. And I'll tell you, you were watching Tuesday, and the numbers across the board, I was blown away by how far everything was moving to the right. And yet, looking at the battlegrounds, same kind of thing as 2020. Oh, why isn't he doing better there? Oh, why isn't anybody calling anything? Why didn't they call Georgia yet? Oh, why isn't Fulton County dropping their numbers yet? And there was a really tense period.
Welcome
there.
to Jesse.
Listen, 8%, 7%, call it 7%. Trump moved the country to the right, 7%. That's like in the teens of millions of people across every single state. And yet we're looking there, and the Rust Belt had not reported. There were 3 states, very few results in, and yet Governor Shapiro got up and talked about how hard vote counting is and how everybody should temper their expectations, and Kamala Harris sent people home from her party. And it looked to me like for about a half hour, 45-minute period, there were no results coming in at all in the Rust Belt states. And I was looking at those Democrat cities. I was looking at numbers from Philadelphia. They'd only returned like a quarter of the vote. Pittsburgh, very few.
Welcome to Jesse Waters.
Detroit, I think it was in the 30s or 40s. So there are all these outstanding blue city results coming in, and yet Trump was up 4, 5, 6 points in these states, not in Pennsylvania, but the other 2. And then I saw Madison and Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, I think, was only 30 or 40% return. Madison, somebody had dumped the Madison results. There was like 90% in. And this is me, listen, maybe I'm scarred by the PTSD of 2020, and not even talking about what candidate won or not, just the absolute surprise that despite the polling, everything was wild and the calls happened and the pipes burst, right? I thought that potentially the counting was going to stop, and yet it didn't. And I wonder why. I think she had to sweep all 3 of them, and they did not have enough Democrat votes in Wisconsin. That's conjecture. I don't want people to rake me over the calls, but this is the same kind of assessment that American voters are making when they see all this stuff in the news media. It did come, in my opinion, really close right there. And I've heard that it got kind of frantic down in Mar-a-Lago. So whatever happened, we'll probably never know, might be because of the increase in focus that Republicans put on election integrity. But Trump, again, should have done, in my opinion, with the massive shift to the right in the national popular vote, should have done better down ballot, should have been a lot less of a touch and go thing for that hour in the middle of election night. And I do think it's a good thing for the country that Donald Trump did have a resounding win.
Let's unpack what you said, Mark Mitchell, the head of polling there at Rasmussen, the #1 most accurate polling agency, hands down in the world, before this election, but totally nailing it to the exact numbers, just over the top accuracy. We have the footage in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Georgia, and again, midnight, all these trucks pulling up, all these cars pulling up with California plates, Rhode Island plates, trying to carry in these magic ballot boxes. But there were so many Trump lawyers and people inside. At a certain point, they just said, let's not even try it. They tried the exact same thing. We were on the air at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock Eastern. We saw it stop when Trump was ahead in the key battlegrounds. Owen and I both said, looks like they're about to try it again. Trump better get out there and talk about this. But at some point, they blinked. As you said, all those states were unified, doing the same thing at the same time. The counting magically stops, just like in 2020. I thought they might start putting up the paper over the windows, but this time the Trump people had sued. They weren't able to keep them out. And so I think in the face of the police and the poll watchers and the lawyers, they went, we just can't do this anymore. This is too obvious. And boom, then we saw Trump win. I mean, I think that's not even conjecture. That's what happened.
100%. And if history's any guide, the MAGA movement, conservatives, they can't count on this just lucking out again.
Yes, I'm telling you what, all this evidence, we've never had it like before. What they're talking about in the middle of the night, this is Wisconsin, everybody, that all of a sudden, look at this huge jump for Kamala Harris in the middle of the night. That's not normal. This is what happened in freaking 2020. And this is what, in Constance, Trump had over 600 lawyers. Constance, this is amazing. He actually had over 500 lawyers in every swing state. They had over 230,000 poll watchers across all the states. But this is, again, too, what is messed up is, look at the Senate race. This is why we lost the Senate race in Wisconsin, because they had that stupid big jump in the middle of the night, whenever they stopped counting, and then all of a sudden now they're up. So there's a lot to be investigated here. There's a lot that we still need to learn about, but I just want to show you there's breaking news. So this just happened, guys, literally minutes ago. Decision Desk HQ has Arizona 06 U.S. House to win another House seat. So if we refresh right now, I showed you one earlier. So of where one is at earlier, so that puts us at 216. Right now, as of right now, with all these projected winners at 216, so only 2 more seats, and we can win the House majority, which is what we need. Because I'm telling you this, there's going to be a lot of, to me, internal fighting with the Republicans, just because. I just feel like that's what's in my gut, and we got to get as big a majority as possible, so that way it doesn't matter if there's a couple outliers, that will still be able to win and do well with Trump's agenda. Check this out.
Welcome to Jesse Waters Prime Time tonight.
Do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats and fighting for you? No.
The Democrats did not have a very good weekend.
You're brats and you're snobs, and people don't like that.
I believed her. My donors believed her. And so they wrote massive checks. I feel like a lot of us were misled.
What happened to the $1 billion Kamala blew? An investigation.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
This is a danger to all the folks in the path of Milton right now because they don't know what to believe. Donald Trump is literally putting lives at risk.
A bombshell report about FEMA. The media lied to you again. Plus,
who did America fight in the Revolutionary War? The slaves?
Trump promised to hire better people this time around, and he's off to a hot start. Ladies and gentlemen, America's heartthrob Stephen Miller is getting a promotion. This time he'll be Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. That means he'll have a lot of authority over the mission. Former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin has been tapped to lead the EPA. New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik will be UN ambassador. Florida Congressman Mike Waltz has been selected to be Trump's national security advisor. He's a former Green Beret who's come on this show demanding answers about Butler. Kamala's no longer border czar. Former ICE director Tom Homan has been put in charge of mass deportations, and Tom's not messing around.
I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden's releasing our country in violation of federal law. You better start packing now.
If sanctuary cities don't want to help, then get the hell out of the way because we're coming.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Trump also declaring who will not be joining his administration. Nikki Haley, and Mike Pompeo. Remember, during the 2016 transition, the RNC was in charge. Trump didn't know Washington, and the FBI was setting booby traps. This time he knows the terrain, has executive orders already drafted, faces little to no resistance, and is ready to hit the ground running. His new chief of staff says this: the window to revolutionize the government is more like 2 years rather than 4. And while Trump takes over the government, Democrats are trying to figure out what to do with Kamala. First, they floated the idea of putting her on the Supreme Court. They tried to force wise Latina Sonia Sotomayor to step down because they say she's 70 and has diabetes. But the wise Latina caught wind of the coup, and her people told the Journal she has no plans to retire. Sources tell Primetime Brett Kavanaugh was ecstatic when he heard he didn't have to work with Kamala, and had a beer. So since that's off the table, Democrats want to finish Biden off with another coup.
Joe Biden has been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
He would absolve her from being able to from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make it easier for the next woman who runs for president to not have to worry about all the historical, weight of being the first.
We've just gotten a look inside the mind of a modern-day Democrat. Who cares what the voters want? Promote an unqualified woman who didn't earn it so her feelings don't get hurt. The white guy who earned it, who cares what he thinks? He's old. The Bidens still aren't even over the last coup. Harris and Biden were seen together today for the first time since the landslide at Arlington Cemetery. Dr. Jill's giving Kamala the cold shoulder. You think it's a little tense? I do. But Pelosi's telling the Bidens to get over it. It's his fault they lost.
Had the president gotten out sooner, there may have been other candidates in the race.
Should there have been an open primary, though?
Well, see, we thought that there would be, the anticipation was that if the president were to step aside, that there would be an open primary.
Nancy's saying they shouldn't have run Joe or Kamala, even though at the time she said Joe was FDR and Kamala had more magic than Barack. Biden world's gone from bickering behind closed doors to fist fighting on the front lawn.
Nancy Pelosi, everybody talks about how the Speaker Emerita, she's so strategic, she can count, and yes, she did all of that when she was the Speaker in Congress, but my question is, where is your calculator now? Because Democrats are about to lose the dang on House, and for her to sit on this podcast, we'll play the sound about how, it's up to the, I don't deal in presidential politics, but she helped orchestrate, I'm going to say it.
This cycle.
She played in presidential politics this cycle, and she helped orchestrate the very public demise of the president.
That's right.
And thank God for Joe Biden that he came out and yes, endorsed his VP, because these people wanted an open primary. And for where?
It's like a prison yard fight, and Jim Clyburn's trying to break it up.
As we take an assessment of all of this, we ought to just chill out for a while, get in touch with each other. Don't worry about blaming anybody. I think we ought to just take stock of who and what we are, and not get caught up in pointing fingers and assigning blame.
Clyburn's trying to play peacemaker all of a sudden. He's the one who created this stupid ticket in the first place. He backed Biden in South Carolina, and in exchange, forced him to pick a black woman as his running mate. They both went down in flames, and he's telling everybody, guys, stop pointing fingers. Nobody's listening to James. He's toast. The party wants blood. Biden loyalists are complaining behind the scenes that this is the second time Obama pushed Joe out. First in 16 and then in 24. And both times Joe would have won, they say. Axelrod's glasses almost shattered.
Come out into the daylight and say what you have to say. Put your name under it, and then let's have a discussion about it. But don't be such a sniveling little coward that you put an unnamed quote out there saying what is absolutely. Look at the guy.
The Clinton syndicate also itching for a fight. They feel like they were ripped off into buying a jalopy.
We didn't even get a chance to kick the tires. We just said, you're buying the car, and you have no choice. And, of course, we bought the car.
Biden endorsing Kamala just 30 minutes after the coup. That was the kiss of death. And after 3 years of covering up Biden, the party was forced to cover up for Kamala and say she was a Ferrari. when she wasn't. The second they drove off the lot, she crashed.
I think if this campaign is reducible to one moment, we're in a 65% wrong track country. The country wants something different. And she's asked, as so often the case, in a friendly audience on The View, how would you be different than Biden? That's the one question that you exist to answer. All right? That is it. That's the money question. That's the one you want. That's the one that everybody wants to know the answer to. And you freeze. You literally freeze and say, well, I can't think of anything. When we go back and history unearths this, it's going to be right there on The View.
Did you ever think a View interview would doom a Democrat?
Wow.
Democrats around the country are lined up outside the bathroom now to wash their hands of this. George Clooney says he's taking a step back from politics, so don't make him a scapegoat. And Democrat insiders are leaking to Rolling Stone that it wasn't their idea for Harris to campaign with Liz Cheney. They say they begged Harris to stop. Quote, people don't want to be in a coalition with the devil. They were saying, hey, maybe focus more on energizing your base than Liz Cheney. The Harris crew told him to get lost. No thanks. Oh, and Bernie's loose. He's running to the Sunday shows saying, I told you so.
How exactly?
Michelle Esner, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Michelle some love in the chat, everybody.
Do you think Democrats have abandoned the working class, Senator?
Look, the working people of this country are extremely angry. If you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think the overwhelming answer is no.
Nancy Pelosi's telling Burn Dog to just shut up.
Well, I just completely disagree. And in fact, might notice that Kamala Harris ran ahead of Bernie Sanders in Vermont.
So what does that tell you? I mean,
it tells you that the fact is that what we do, what our purpose is in the Democratic Party, is for America's working families. So since you pursue it, go ask Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has not won. Let me, with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for him, for what he stands for, but I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families.
So the Democrats doing an autopsy on Tuesday's wipeout, and the results are in. America thinks they're crazy, preachy, incompetent, and abandoned the working class in exchange for illegals, transgenders, and felons. The New York Times says some Democrats are finally waking up and realizing that woke is broke, and they're just a bunch of brats.
That's what I hate about the left. You're brats. You're brats and you're snobs, and people don't like that.
This wasn't just an election. This was an intervention. The left shut out of every branch of government, and their coalition's being gobbled up by a hungry billionaire who came back from the dead. Their leadership's all in their 80s, on their last legs, politically. And the one person who was supposed to know what he was doing staged a coup without a backup plan. Obama's biographer says Barry's been extremely concerned and nervous about how history will remember him. That has certainly taken a big hit with Trump once again triumphing. Democrats all thought it was tone deaf and clueless for them to preach as they did, but now he's as relevant as Bill Clinton. Barack never saw Biden's snap Kamala endorsement coming. He got outmaneuvered by Sleepy Joe. It was his last bit of revenge as he pulled the knife out of his back. The Democratic Party has destroyed itself trying to destroy Trump. And the more they resist, the worse it gets. Everything they're resisting, the majority of the country backs. And all the tactics that they used are so dirty and unconstitutional that they've turned Trump into a folk hero for surviving and winning. Since they can't stop us, we're not invited to Thanksgiving.
How do we move forward when we know there are people you have people in their families who voted for him? They work with people who voted for him. They live next to people who voted for him. How should we deal with those neighbors, co-workers, family members?
Do you recommend, just from a psychological standpoint, being around them? We got the holidays coming up.
It's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why. You know, to say, I have a problem with the way that you voted. because it went against my very livelihood, and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me.
Yep, people are taking some space in the Waters household. I'll have you know that I was not invited to my mother's house for Thanksgiving. Apparently, there wasn't enough room. She said it was a scheduling situation, and then at the last second invited me to come over on Black Friday. I told her no thanks, I'll be at Best Buy. Joining me now, RNC co-chair Larry
Guys,
Trump.
I'm telling you this, you cannot make this stuff up. They're so desperate. I do want to say this real quick, though. Decision Desk HQ has called it and said that the House has officially have enough numbers, 218, for the Republican majority in the House. So if they're right, and they've been really good about this, Trump has done it. Red wave, trifecta. We have the presidency, the House, and the Senate, baby. Let's go. Let's get some likes on the video for Trump getting the majority he needs to do what he needs to do for this country and putting it first. Let's get some fireworks going. I love it. Let's go. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help everybody. And thank you so much to everybody that is supporting us through the channel. Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, Peter Scroggins, Crunk Juice, Michael Day, Must Love Dogs, David M. American, Michelle Eisner for the super chats. Thank y'all so much. Remember, if you want to join to be a member of the True Life News fam, the link is in the description to join. We are building an amazing community here. Y'all been killing it in the chat. I love seeing the popcorn. I love seeing all the banter going back and forth. Guys, we are building one of the best YouTube channels out there. We're going to keep growing every single day. We're going to hit 1 million subscribers one day. Guys, it's going to be amazing. The next presidential election, we're going to be interviewing people that are going to be running for president. We're going to be calling people and saying, hey, we want to interview the vice president. They're going to say, yeah, True Life. Y'all hear about them? They're a big YouTube channel that they're doing podcasts and whatnot. It's all because of you. Let's continue growing together. Let's continue putting God first, America first. Love you all. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.